hope is that we all get it. Don't give in to the pain, just keep living, cause
got dreams I'm striving for. So I'm gonna live higher. I'm gonna live higher. I got dreams I'm striving.
What's up, guys? It's Toby Rosario, and in today's video, I'm super excited because I got a local investor here out of Philadelphia area, Fritz Joseph. He's crushing it, and his primary marketing channel right now is Facebook ads. So we're gonna dive deep into that and how he's crushing these deals that he's doing in Philadelphia market, also virtually as well in Florida. So thank you so much for taking time out, Fritz, to do this interview.
Hey, no problem. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate it.
No problem. So for the people who kind of don't know your story, your backstory, give us a little insight of what you were doing before real estate and kind of what got you into real estate.
So before I was doing real estate full time, I was a data analyst at a auditing firm. I was, regular 9 to 5, nothing crazy. Just do a bunch of spreadsheets, bunch of, a cubicle. So I did that for I believe it was 5-6 years, something like that. And finally, I left that position. I was let go of that position. So I was at a crossroads. I have a family member, a cousin who was doing real estate, and he's always been pushing me to get into real estate. So I decided that since I don't have that job thing to hold me back, why not just do it now? So that's when I decided to jump into real estate.
Now, was it specifically, was he doing wholesaling, or what kind of real estate was he doing?
So he's doing, a lot of development, a lot of like big deals with hotels and stuff like that. So, but he recommended that I start with, residential, something small like wholesaling, and then, get my feet wet and just jump in feet first, basically. Right. And that's the only way I would learn. Like he's the type that he wants you to, learn and do it yourself. Right. Not that he wants to do it all and then have me just show up and sign papers. Like, that's not how you work. So I started watching a whole bunch of videos on YouTube, and that's how I started. So
how was your first deal? Since you were kind of learning as you were going, how was your first deal like? Talk about that first deal.
When I initially started, I started doing a lot of stuff that was like free, because I didn't have the confidence and to just start paying for things to do like everybody else was doing. So, yeah. My first deal, I actually ended up, I don't know if my first deal or my second, I ended up losing it because I went too high. It was for sale by owner.
Okay.
And went too high and got it on the contract, couldn't find a buyer to come down to the price that I needed it to. So and then ended up having to back out of that one. And I actually put like $1,000 deposit down and everything. So I ended up losing that. So that was like my first like real estate lesson, I guess you could say.
You didn't try to go back to renegotiate with the seller?
So I did, but the seller, they wanted what they wanted. So, there was no bad blood or anything like that. He just couldn't come down to the price that I needed.
Right. So talk about your first deal. So what happened after that for sale by owner?
So after that, I started watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos on how can I generate more leads.
Right.
So then I landed on Chris Chico. Started watching a whole bunch of his courts. I put my first ad out. Got a bunch of real estate listings. Got a bunch of people that want to retail, and then I got someone to fill out my form, and she wanted to sell, and she inherited the property from someone, and basically just wanted to get rid of it, and got that on the contract. At the time I was working with a realtor.
Okay.
And he was investor friendly, and he actually did deals himself. So we just partnered together. So I'd bring a deal to the table. I didn't really have a buyer's list, so I would leverage him, and since he had buyers, established relationships, he would just sell the deal off.
So what were the numbers on that one? What did she want? What was it worth? And what did you sell it for?
Trying to remember. This was like, it was like a year ago. The property was South Philly. She wanted, I think off the bat, she wanted like 80. So it was a very doable number. But I ended up going in and bringing it down a little bit, and I got it for I want to say 62 and a half.
Okay.
And I don't know if I mean, you probably know, but that Point Breeze area, you know, it was real popular. Graceberry, Point Breeze, real popular. And we ended up getting a buyer at around, it was 92, I think we let it go for.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So
did the house need a lot of work, or?
So yeah, the house, it needed a lot of work. But the buyer that Eric brought, the realtor brought, and that's what they do. So that's the price that he could do and still make a good profit in the end. So it was a good deal for us.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice spread there. So you and the realtor split it, or how did you work?
Yeah, we split it 50-50.
Awesome. So talk about, so you said you got into Chris Chico's course. I'm in that course, and you guys should definitely check that out as well. So talk about the transition from doing what you were doing to Chris's course, and how you're doing multiple deals a month now.
So I was doing like one deal here, one deal there, and it wasn't really consistent. And I basically decided to go all in on Facebook and RVM.
Okay.
And so I started doing a bunch of RVMs, and I started, putting in 2, 3, 4 ads up and testing what will work, that I can build something consistently and be able to basically, fill up that pipeline.
Right.
So I went in on Facebook and RVM and started to get more leads into my CRM. And although initially a lot of the leads, we couldn't come to an agreement, I still kept following up. And then I started to close deals on leads that I got like 3 months ago, 2 months ago. So like it kind of started to trickle down. And eventually I stopped doing RVM because there's a lot of stuff going on with RVM. So I didn't want to get sued. I didn't want anything to go wrong that way. So especially there's a couple of articles that came out in Philly. So like I was like, all right, so let me back up a little bit. So I stopped doing RVM and I went all in on Facebook.
Yeah.
And,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. And I went all in on Facebook and just been consistent with my spending and knowing when to turn off the ads when they're fizzling out.
Yeah. A couple things I wanted to point out, because I think what you said is important. I think what a lot of people fail to realize is, I would say 70 to 80% of your deals are going to come from follow-up, right? Because most of the time, nobody's going to be really motivated on that initial call to sell that property right away. Sometimes it takes a situation, a change of circumstance for them to give you that price where it makes sense for you to make a profit. And that takes some follow-up. It could be 1, 2, 3, 6 months down the road. So I think that's important that you said you kept following up, because I think a lot of people, they'll get a lead, and if they're not like super motivated, I mean, those deals will come. They're called home runs, right? The slam dunks. But a lot of times, on that initial phone call, they might not be super motivated, but they'll have a motivation behind them, right? They might have inherited their property, but they're looking to get a little bit more than what you can make it work for. And it's important to keep following up, because eventually, like you said, those deals are going to start to trickle down,
Right.
And then also getting back to what you were saying about RVM. Yeah, I started to do RVM just a couple months ago. I was sending out like couple thousand RVMs, and then I saw that I read a couple articles. It's like a gray area, and then I know eventually they're gonna start to really crack down on that. So
right.
So what I'm doing now is I'm using RVM, but only for like follow-ups. Like if I wanted to, like I'll automatically send them a follow-up every month or every couple of weeks. Someone I spoke to already, we had a conversation, and I'll let them know, is it okay if I follow up with you a couple weeks down the road? Right. If the situation's changed, you never know. So I'll do RVMs like that, but I'm not doing like 5,000 RVMs like I used to do. So, so as far as the Facebook stuff, so what do you feel like is working for you now? Like, can you talk about a little bit about the strategy behind Facebook for people who don't know exactly what you're doing on Facebook? Like, kind of explain like the targeting, or how does that work exactly?
So my basic attack with Facebook is that somebody is, when they opt in to sign into my form, it's very clear what the form is about. It's very clear what's going on, and with the wording and the ad copy. And when they opt in, one of the beauties is the only way I'm going to stop following up with them is if they come out and say, I'm no longer interested in selling this property. I'm no longer interested in selling my house or whatever. So when I go into it, once I get your email and property information, then it's game on, and I have forever basically to follow up with you. So I go in with the mindset that, with the same mindset everybody goes in, that, we buy houses cash, but I don't come out as a big corporation or anything like that. So basically that the Chris Chico strategy where, just be a regular person. And then people want to do business with people they like and that people they relate to, not just some big corporation, not the banks or anybody like that. So that's my basic strategy. When I put up ads, it's, it comes off as, I could be one of your neighbors that I just do real estate, and I just am looking to buy 2 or 3 more properties in your area. And if, you need to sell quickly or whatever,
Right.
I don't need to buy your house, but if you're looking, we could do it cash and yada, yada, yada. So that's the basic strategy that I go for. And the interest, we just started testing interest on Facebook because, like 6 months ago, a while ago, Facebook took away some certain stuff that you could do, like certain targeting, like if you're a homeowner or certain specific stuff that I guess they deem that we shouldn't have access to, so they took that away. So I stopped using. I never use interest-based targeting. I would target zip codes, age. I would exclude realtors, real estate agents, brokers, because I didn't want to target them. And I would basically target certain zip codes and make sure that the audience size was appropriate with the budget that I was basically working with. And I just could stay consistent. And just, because a lot of people, when they start doing Facebook, they spend a little money, they spend $40 and they're like, oh man, this is not working. I'm just going to go to something else. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I mean, to add to that, I mean, everything works, guys. Direct mail. You can close deals direct mail.
Yep.
RVM, cold calling, PPC, Facebook, banner signs, they all work. The problem is you have to do it consistently. You could get lucky. Now, you could get lucky, put up a banner sign, you get a deal. You could get lucky, send one letter, get a deal, right? But most of the time, right, you're going to have to do it over a period of time in order to get that result. And I think that's what discourages a lot of people. I mean, I'm doing Facebook ads. I haven't got a deal yet. I spent close to 300 to 400, but I know it works because obviously Fritz is doing a lot of deals to do with it. Chris Chico, all his students, but you have to be patient and you have to understand, this is a long-term game, right? And you got to understand that most of these deals, they'll make up what you spent. So like if you spend 300, 400, 500, 600 just to get that one deal, but that one deal could be 10, 12, 15, right? Now, I know it's tough to come up with that in the beginning. You get a little discouraged, but you got to stay in there long enough to get a little bit of data and see what you can tweak along the way. Now, as far as, so what's it costing you like per lead? What's it costing you to acquire a deal? Like what are numbers as far as that?
So my numbers right now, my cost per lead is about $32. It used to be 28, but lately it's been going up a little bit. So now it's about like $32. It's I would say between 17 to 19 leads, it's a deal. So, right. So that's why I like Facebook, because it's quality leads. So it's not, I might get, and that's just a wholesale deal. So in between that, I can get listings, I can get owner finance, I can get a lease option. So I'm not counting, because I count those as like, those are extra for me, because I'm really focusing on just trying to get assignments. So every 17 to 19, I get an assignment, but then in between that, I might pick up a house on an owner finance, or I might pick up a house on a lease option, or a listing. that, you know, we list and then it sells 4 months later and then that comes back. So like there's a lot of opportunity with Facebook with, you know, depending on the budget that you have and your knowledge, basically.
Yeah, and I think, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but I think with Facebook, it's if you're not tech savvy, it is a little bit of a learning curve. So I think that right there, it's a big deterrent, right? It deters a lot of people from, you know, trying to learn the system, trying to learn the back office. So did you before Chris Chico's course, were you into Facebook, is that the first time you learned how to use the Facebook platform?
So the great question, because it wasn't the first time I had used the Facebook ads platform, because I also do drop shipping. So just so people know out there, I had used the Facebook ads before to do drop shipping, but I thought that I could come in and do ads just like I'm doing for drop shipping with real estate, and spent a ton of money with, you know, zero results. I had a bunch of clicks basically. Nothing happening.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do back in the day, a couple of years ago, I used to do Facebook ads with. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Teespring, like selling T-shirts.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
I used to be heavy on that, and then Facebook changed a couple of things, and then I just stopped doing it. But now that I'm back on the Facebook, it has changed a lot, because back in the day, it used to be called fan pages. Now they're just called, you know, like a business page. But so even for me right now, getting back into the platform, it is a little bit of a learning curve. I'm still, you know, getting used to it. So I think that right there deters a lot of people. So you just got to stick with it and be patient. And I know you're doing some virtual deals. So talk about where exactly are you doing those deals, and how are you structuring those deals since you're not looking at the property, and how you're finding your buyers?
So I'm basically popping up in places that I've lived before and I'm comfortable knowing the area because I've lived there before. So Orlando, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, and Jacksonville. My sister lives in Jacksonville, so I'm familiar with the area. I never lived in Jacksonville and Tampa. I just had family that lived there, so I'm familiar with the areas. So I use Facebook to just do certain. It's not that those deals that I do not in the Philadelphia market. I'm not consistent with them. It's usually more of I use those markets to test certain ideas I have in my head. So I don't want to use. It's not that it's bad to do, but I'm just weird like that. I'll just test that in other markets and then bring it, if it works, bring it into my Philly market and then implement it. So just because I'm familiar with the areas, so it's easier for me to understand what pictures might work better or what areas buyers want, you know, and stuff like that.
Okay. Now let's talk about a recent deal. And so for the people who hasn't closed their first deal, walk us through that deal so people can have the full picture. Walk me through a recent deal you've done. You know, obviously you got the lead through Facebook, probably. Kind of talk about the situation, and then how you find the buyer, and walk us through from A to Z so people can see the bigger picture.
So a good recent deal I worked on, it was obviously through Facebook. I put the ad up, and I would say 2 hours later, I had 3 leads, and that was one of the leads that came from that. So it was this woman. She inherited the property from her grandma, who passed away, and their parents passed away, and then they're about to lose the house because nobody was paying the mortgage or anything like that, and they only had like $6,000 worth of the mortgage left, and the grandma passed away like a year ago or something like that.
Okay.
And she kept getting papers from the bank saying, you know, foreclosure's coming, and so she saw my ad and she filled out the form.
Wow.
And I'm actually, I don't know if you know Dom Summers. He was on one of Chris's interviews. So I actually, we worked together here and there. So I actually called him in with the deal, and we were getting it done. We got in a contract, and it's $20,000 deal.
Nice. So he basically brought in the buyer. You got the lead. You guys split it 50-50?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good. I mean, so that if you put it up 2 hours, you didn't spend that much. What was the ad spend on that particular?
$3.07.
But see, people look at that and they think they're gonna attain the same results. They're gonna put up an ad and boom, they get a deal. Like I said, you could get lucky and could get that deal initially on that first ad, but it's probably not gonna work out that way. You're gonna have to spend a little bit of money and spend a little bit of money to get some leads in, and then you'll convert those leads into a deal. Can you talk a little bit about actually, we're gonna pivot a little bit here. So for someone who hasn't got started or they're afraid to get started, what advice would you give those people?
I would say save up like $500. Save up like $500. Put that aside and say that, and consider it spent. Consider it spent, and pick up a strategy. Don't just throw up an ad on Facebook. Don't boost posts. When I see people say that, oh, I boosted a post and it didn't work, stop giving Facebook your money. That's money down the drain. Stop boosting posts, and pick a strategy. So, for example, a strategy can be to put up an ad and target a certain amount of zip codes, and use an ad copy that would attract a distressed seller. If you need, if people need help, you reach out. I can show them an example, but it can say, make sure that your ad copy is not spammy. Don't use a whole bunch of emojis. Don't throw links all over the place. Because I see a lot of people, they copy like the webinar ads and the drop shipping ads, or the ads that are really long, and then they walk you through this whole story, and then at the bottom it says click link. Like that stuff, you're gonna waste your money. It's either gonna get a bunch of clicks and then nothing's gonna happen, or it's just not gonna work. People have a really short attention span on Facebook because they're just scrolling. People are scrolling. So you have to you have a lot going on. You have to make sure that you don't sound spammy, and you have to have an ad copy that's enough to make somebody stop and say, let me see what they're about. Let me fill out this form. So I would do it very strategically and make sure that your ad spend matches the amount of people that you're targeting. So for example, if your potential audience is 100,000 people, don't start with $5 a day. That's not going to work. Facebook ads optimize and it learns who you want to fill out your form. It's not going to work. You're not going to reach your full potential. Start with 30, 35, and then watch it from there. And then don't just let it run for a week and not check it either. That's another good advice. And just keep testing, pivot. And that's what I would say. And use that $500 and, spend 20 to 30 bucks a day and really pay attention to what you're doing. Don't use Google Images. Don't use, if you can, take a picture of the house, a distressed house in the area that you're targeting. That's the best. A picture that you take yourself, not something like Google Maps or anything like that, or get somebody to do it. Or get a good picture from Google, and that's what I would recommend, and just test.
It's all about testing. I think it is all about testing, because some things might not work in some other markets that might work for you. So it's all about testing and also being consistent. And don't get discouraged when you spend $300 and you haven't got a deal yet, right? Because the next $100 spend, that might be your deal where you make 15, 20 grand. So last couple questions here as we wrap up here. So what's the best advice you ever received?
That I've ever received?
Yeah, someone has given you. What's the best advice you ever received?
Somebody I met, an investor I met through Facebook, and then just networking. He told me, don't be afraid to be a beginner.
I like that.
So, and at first I didn't really understand what he was saying, but as more as we talked about it, and he kind of explained that don't be afraid to be a beginner. Don't be afraid to do something just because you see other people are doing it and they're great at it. And you're like, and you're thinking, oh man, I might not be, they're good at it. I might not be good at it, or I have to learn all this stuff. Just don't be afraid to be a beginner. Don't be afraid to start from scratch and learn and build and fail. Because most of your lessons are going to come from your failures. Most of your lessons actually in anything are going to come from your failures, especially in our business. Yeah. Nothing teaches us investors how not to do something than failing, because otherwise then we would know. So, especially when it comes to dollar signs and all that. So don't be afraid to fail. And also don't be afraid to reach out. So that all ties into just don't be afraid to be a beginner. So I know people are afraid to like reach out to me or to you probably because they feel like, oh, I don't want to bother them with my beginner questions. Like, no, we were all there once. Just, don't be afraid to be a beginner, learn, and, reach out.
Yeah, that is some great advice. I think a lot of people, they're afraid to take that chance or to reach out to someone. And I mean, I remember my first deal, it took me, I had analysis paralysis. I think that's the biggest thing a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Or they're like overwhelmed with all this information. They don't know where to start, what to do. And I think the best advice I ever got to add on what you were saying is you don't have to get it right. You just have to get it going. I mean, I think that when he said that, I said, you're so right. You don't need steps 1 through 10. You need steps 1 and then 2. And when 3 comes, that's you learn as you go.
Yeah.
You learn more through actually taking the action than you will to watching videos and things like that. I promise you, that's how it is. So I know you have a little bit, you have like a little Facebook course. Can you talk a little bit about that and where can people get that course? Because you're pretty active on Facebook ads, so you're pretty knowledgeable on that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I put together a course a little while back. Basically, it shows you how we set up our ads, how I set up my ads, and how I like to do my Facebook page, and how I like to target, and how I like to retarget. Because people think that you just throw Facebook ads out there. If you're not retargeting, then you're leaving money on the table. Because it's actually cheaper to throw up a retargeting ad than it is to throw up a regular ad. So I may have like 2, 3, 4 regular ads up, and then have 2 retargeting ads, but I'm spending $5 on each every day. So, and then, with a potential deal of like 10, 15,000. So if you're not retargeting, you're leaving money on the table. So I'll show you how I retarget. I'll show you what not to do. Basically all my failures, I basically show you what not to do and how to set that up. And for those who are still thinking about doing RVM, I also throw in there how I used to do my RVMs and how I set up everything with RVM as well. Also, a bunch of other extra bonuses. The website is called Facebook Motivated Sellers, motivatedsellercourse.com. So it's Facebook FB Motivated Sellers Course.com, and I'm sure probably put a link at the bottom or something like that.
Yeah, I'll put all the links below. And where can people connect with you on your social media platforms?
You can find me on Facebook, Fritz Joseph. I don't think there's that many Fritz Josephs that live in Philly, so you can find me on Facebook. I try to be active on there and give out advice and help people when they have questions on there. So you can probably find me on Facebook or one of the wholesaling groups, or you can find me on Instagram.
Okay, I'll have all the links below, guys. So thank you so much, Fritz.
No problem at all. There's one thing I can leave everybody with is they can hear a story that he got the lead and it was $3.07, but that's luck. To me, that's luck meeting preparation, meeting consistency, and meeting persistence. That's because people think, oh, he's just got lucky. No, if I hadn't been consistent, if I hadn't been persistent, if I hadn't been patient and just kept going, I would have never got that because I wouldn't have had to add up in the first place. So be consistent and keep pivoting, keep trying, and then you'll get lucky too. And then you'll get way more leads than you're currently doing on Facebook. So keep trying.
Yeah, one last thing, because I think what you're saying is very important. Like you said, people say that it's luck that he got that, but you don't know how much he spent in order to get that. You don't know the previous ad spent.
Right.
You don't know what he had to tweak in order to make this particular ad work. So just keep that in mind. Don't look at someone and then they say, oh, I spent $7, whatever the amount was, and they made a $20,000 there. That's going to happen to you because he tweaked all these ads before that. He might have spent a couple hundred, couple grand in order to get that right ad to the right person at the right time. But if he didn't do all of that before that, it would have never happened. So keep that in mind, guys. All right. Thank you so much, Fritz. I'll have all the links below, guys. Peace.
No problem.